Yeah, hi everyone. It's Billy here again from 47 Wolves. I hope you're all well. And welcome back, the wonderful Martin from Arcanum Vita. How are you, Martin?
Good, Billy. How you going? Thanks for having us,
Uh,
and yeah, good to see you again.
you
And
too,
yeah,
you too.
hope life's treating you well.
Oh, absolutely, all the time. Yep, yep,
Yeah, like
yep.
yeah, that's good, mate. That's
Excellent.
good.
So today, Martin, we're talking about the new moon coming up, the end of
Yeah,
February.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. 28th of Feb, got a new moon in Pisces, 9 degrees of Pisces, another 9-degree new moon, which has been every new moon lately has been at the ninth degree, which I guess is Sagittarian by energy, but it's about expansion and opening new horizons, and I guess it very much brings through the energy of Jupiter, justice, balance. I guess inspiration, belief, it sort of works through us on all those levels. So again, it's another pivotal, I believe, pivotal new moon in this series of moons that we're sort of getting lately. There's a bit of synchronicity going on here around this Jupiter vibration. So yeah, it's exciting on the 28th of Feb. I mean, speaking of Jupiter, Jupiter's finally moving direct around, pretty much now. But like so, we've had Jupiter retrograde pretty much most of last year, like towards the end of last year and into this year. And yeah, so with this new moon in Pisces, Jupiter's moving direct again. Jupiter's the old traditional ruler of Pisces too. So like it's sort of, it's this idea of bringing in, I guess, higher awareness, inspiration, that type of thing. So, and Pisces too, I guess Pisces time of the year is the end of the natural year, Billy. So it's we find ourselves in that time of dissolution and that time of sort of breaking down and going over the year that's been, but at the same time being open to the inspiration, being open to the dreaming, if you like, or the imagining of the year to come. And it's going to be, it's looking like quite a year ahead, from the natural scheme of things. But yeah, it's with Pisces, I guess, the Pisces new moon is not one where you'd want to jump out and start new things or anything energetically, I mean, because it does speak of an ending, ending to the natural year. But at the same time, it's very much the pivotal part of the beginning. It's where we move away from what was and move towards what we'd like to imagine going forward. Yeah, so
Beautiful.
it's a good looking moon.
Yes. And you've mentioned 9 degrees. So for those that don't know, what's the significance of 9 degrees? Because you've said the last few new moons have been in nine
Yeah.
degrees. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, it's just something I've noticed that's been sort of consistently happening. Normally you get, new moons in various different degrees, but it just so happens that lately, towards the end of last year and into this year, most of the new moons have been at the ninth degree. And to me that sort of speaks of a bit of a synchronicity, things starting to resonate or reverberate, at a particular frequency or at a particular degree. And like the ninth degree, like if you think of nine in the zodiac, nine is a Sagittarian degree. So, it does point towards Jupiter, and I guess, yeah, like to me, I guess they say watch Jupiter, but like Jupiter is the bringer of new insight and new things, and it's given, it's we look at Jupiter as an energy and see it as good luck and good fortune and those types of things, and often Jupiter is that spark of inspiration or that spark of beginning. It's our higher intellectual kind of stimulus that gives us that flash of vision that we can see what's ahead without it even being done yet. It's that sort of grander insight. So in many ways, I think that the new lunations we've been getting lately have been really sort of bringing us into this willingness to open up to new possibilities and see a bigger picture and see a broader horizon. And at the same time, Jupiter, in myth and those sort of things, Jupiter was the harbinger of justice, and Jupiter kind of made sure things got balanced and brought things back to balance. And as you know, Billy, the world hasn't exactly been a center point of balance, over the past few years. But in many ways, I think we're feeling a bit of balance restoring or coming back into play amongst the many different levels of life, and it's quite encouraging. It's quite encouraging, and it just I'd look at this, this particular new moon at 9 degrees being the end of the old cycle and bringing in the new natural year that lies ahead. to me, in many ways, it is a new moon of inspiration and a new moon that sort of promises maybe not necessarily vision, but clear vision, but the idea of vision or the potential for a new vision. And I think in many ways that can loosen us from our old shackles of despair or doubt or I guess the mundane attachments that we might have been stuck in, and give us that little bit of levity, for a change to dare to dream or dare to speculate or think or look beyond what is, and enter into the idea of something outside that, something new, something possible beyond it. So yeah, it's to me, that's what I see the ninth degree. I think of that, that glimmer of new inspiration, and being open to it, I
Yeah.
guess is important as well.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
excellent. It all
Yeah.
sounds really positive. I guess not fair to say the last 12 months and probably longer has been quite chaotic for a lot of people that I've spoken to, with all sorts of energies going. And yeah, so
Yeah.
it's yeah, I think a lot of people were quite thankful to say goodbye to say 2024. And obviously
Yeah.
people look at January 1st as the start of the new year, but astrologically you're saying that we're coming to the end of the season and the year and moving into
Yeah.
the Aries.
That's it. Yeah. So astrologically, or from a natural perspective, the natural year begins in Aries, and so the Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac, and the last sign of the natural rhythm. We're in that period of culmination now, which leads into the new moon, the Aries new moon in April. So yeah, we're at the end. Like, I suppose it's funny, New Year's for us, or Capricorn season is the end of the year, but it's very, very much the achievement side of the year. The 10th house is Capricorn. So around Christmas time and New Year's, we culminate. Like it's that culmination period where everything we've worked for in the year reaches its pinnacle and takes form. And I guess we pull up at Christmas, and or that the festive season, and go, well, here's my pinnacle for the year. I've arrived. Usually January or Aquarius season is hanging out with people, or networking and canoodling and having parties and having fun, and just sort of breaking it down. And then as we get into February, March, we find ourselves kind of going into a bit of a period of okay, where to from here? Where do we go from here? This is where I guess the year that was is starting to give way to the potential for the year ahead. We've probably all had our quiet February. We've all had that sort of, oh my God, things are different now. Like, we've got to get things going again. We've got to get things happening again. But with all that intention and all that sort of movement, it sort of brings us into this sort of awareness of a void. It's like, oh my God, there's no form really taking place. And sometimes that can be March can be a time of general panic in some ways, because you think, oh, well, the momentum of that previous year, it seems to be dissipating, or seems to be sort of yielding away. But if you tap into the natural rhythm of things, really it's just the resetting of new intention and new energy to drive forward into April. So, like, this is a time really to just get balsamic, get quiet. You know, if you're not feeling it, don't worry. It's about solitude. It's about reflection. It's about sanctuary. It's about dreaming up. It's about envisioning. It's sort of it is that lose or releasing or relinquishing our attachment to old forms, so that we can give ourselves this orientation to imagine or be inspired. And so really, yeah, meditate, pray, listen to your intuition, trust your guidance. Don't try and bust a move too hard. Like, if it's not going on, just go with the flow. Give yourself a bit of time and space, be inspired. All those types of things are really great for Pisces time. Pisces is the arts, it's image, it's sort of get out and take photos, like we were talking about, last time. It's sort of it is about being inspired by the beauty of life, and sort of going into the dream, so to speak. So, obviously we've got real life to do, but on another level, letting ourselves go a little bit and getting a bit balsamic, and allowing ourselves to get more into the flow, rather than so much driven by the structure and the attainment and the manifestation of things, is a really nice way of harmonizing better with this time of year. And I suppose as the new moon comes up on the 28th, yeah, like the energy is really going to swing into that. It's going to move away from Aquarian energy into Pisces, and we enter the dream, so to speak. We
Yeah,
enter the dream for the next 30 odd 28 odd days. So
beautiful.
yeah, it's yeah, time to get into your projects, get your art out, have a dream, or just imagine, go with the flow a little bit.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
reading before that it's a time for yeah, expanding and getting new visions, but then letting that go, letting the process go, letting the result go, and just moving in
Yeah, like be
into
inspired,
yeah,
like
be
get the vision.
inspired.
I guess in that too, when you see the vision, with the vision comes the contrasting past and future. So you get the vision, and then you go, well, here's what is, and here's where I'd like to go. And so, in a way, the vision is the impetus to begin the process of releasing on one hand attachment to what was, and daring to imagine and visualize what can be. So, in many ways, I guess it's the divine spark of that insight that kind of makes us go, you know what, something else can go on here, something else can happen here. But we don't often get to see that or listen to that unless we're quiet, unless we're in that space. And we have to give ourselves that space. We have got to give ourselves that disengagement from the all-consuming nature of life so that we can hear it, so that we can see it. And it doesn't have to be magnanimous either, Billy. Like it's sometimes those little insights, those little differences that kind of inspire us to get into something else or use our energy in a different way, or appreciate things on a different level that kind of keep us evolving and keep us moving ahead. And if we're worried about what should be going on because it's getting quiet, or if we're not engaging the solitude sometimes, or engaging that process of rumination, we'll miss it if we're not careful.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that Pisces energy invites us all to sort of, it allows us to not eliminate, but diffuse the external noise, and
yes,
that's why it's so important to then take advantage of those times where we can sit down and reflect quietly and
that's it.
go for walks in nature, do what works for you to expand your horizons, expand your visions, and get creative, like you were saying, Martin.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, totally. Like that is the thing. It's really getting into that, get into the bliss, so to speak. Like it really is the bliss, or another word they give to Pisces is just inspiration, like it's that, that the stuff that comes through quietness, the stuff that comes when we connect to something higher or greater. Like in many ways, Pisces is the gateway to the divine. So it's sort of in many ways we're being brought, they say, we're at the veils at the thinnest or whatever, but like energetically, when we get a new moon in Pisces, we're at our closest to the divine timing, to the divine rhythm. And I suppose that one of the greatest lessons that I sort of keep reminding myself of too is that, like, there's real timing and divine timing. So, we can try and bust a move, or expect things to happen, or kind of have this set of goals or routines sort of structured out of our logical mind or our real time mind. But divine timing brings it when it's meant to be there, brings it when it's meant to happen, like brings it in a way that is best for us, and sometimes we just have to welcome that rather than try and get it or try and achieve it. Sometimes it's just a matter of receiving rather than trying to get. So it's sort of finding that balance again between the active and the passive of our life, the active side and the passive side of our life. And this is the clutch in time of year before we go active in Aries. It's back into this lovely passive receiving energy of Pisces. Yeah. So it's I know it's a nice, go with the flow. Relax, enjoy it.
Yeah,
Enjoy it. It's lovely. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, I will say too, like, not to be, just to throw in the opposite end of the spectrum, like Pisces is also in myth associated with the Furies, and the Neptune gave birth to all these sort of, I guess, elementals called the Furies, or the damage, and they're the worries, like they're these energetics that get around and torment us in our quiet time, and torment us in our sort of inner worlds, I suppose. And in Pisces, those energies and those elementals are very much there. The 12th house is the house of Pisces, and it's all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. It's the stuff that was sort of in place before we even got here. Really, it's that those deep worries. And so in many ways too, like in Pisces time, it's a time to be aware of what our inner noises are, like they're a bit louder in Pisces, they're a little bit more present when we engage the Piscean energy. So if we can, be aware of all that too and not buy into excess worry or not look at what we're worrying about and, find balance in it. Like, is it pushing us off balance? Like, again, Jupiter figures strongly. So, what is just, what is fair, what is balanced, like, I mean, what do we need to let go of? What why are we worrying about it anymore? Do we need to worry about it anymore? Like, it's the old saying, like, let go, give God, let it go and see what happens, like, just trust in the process. So in other ways too, Pisces can have that element to it where, there is this sort of, I guess, potential kind of delirium or worry about things that are outside of our reach. And, it's sort of sometimes it's that idea that we can't control it all. Sometimes we do have to trust. And in many ways, what Pisces asks us to develop in ourselves is that trust, that it's going to be okay. It's that sort of trust that we're in the right place at the right time, like where we are here for the right reason. We're meant to be here. We're meant to be here now, and it's all okay. So it's a matter of engaging and taking, on one hand, taking responsibility for where we're at, but at the same time, not worrying, not letting things that are outside of our reach or outside of our fathomable, perception to undermine us or upset us. And they're the Furies, they're the demons that are out there in the deep oceans that we really don't have to engage in. Just focus on where you are. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
And it really does bring in that emphasis of letting go, like you said before, letting go, letting God. And because of how chaotic and turmoil for a lot of people that I've spoken to the last 12 months in particular, this is a perfect opportunity to let all that stuff go, because you don't want that carrying forward into the new natural year.
that's it.
Yeah, you want
Absolutely.
to. This is a perfect idyllic time
Yep.
to let it all
Yep.
go, and then yeah, okay. Um,
Take what you want. Like, I mean, we are, I guess we're in a position where we can use our imagination or our creative mind to essentially refine what it is that we would like to put our energy into. And it's working out basically our choices, work out what we want to say yes to or no to, and in the service of the image or the thing we would like to create or participate in. So in many ways, this period of refinement is just consciously working out, like, what am I going to carry through with me? What doesn't work for me? What am I going to put my energy towards? What attachments or entrapments or addictions or illusions or whatever? What am I going to say goodbye to or give strength to myself in the face of, in order to empower myself to be more orientated to my conscious participation in life. And I guess that ties back into that those illusions or those furies that exist in the underworld. It's in many ways the illusions or the glamours or the things that we think we should be doing or the things that we think we need or all those types of things that at the end of the day are ultimately contributing to our worry. Do we need them? Or in what way do we need them? Or how do we orientate ourselves to them? Are we better forming a better relationship to them? Can we see them differently? In other words, like, this is really about getting our economy of energy back into a better balance sheet so that when we kick past the post again, we can come out firing on a different, more refined expression, which is Aries, which is the initiation of our new self out of the dissolution of our old. And so really, yeah, it's a process, time of reformulating at the moment too, Billy. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if we can if we can let go of all our anxieties and fears, and we don't carry that forward, we get a fresh perspective. So when we are trying to, we're meditating or we're getting visions or we're trying to get creative, it
Yep.
seems to me like it's coming from a more pure sense. So you're not dragging all that drudge with you, which is going to
Yep.
obviously have an impact on any visions that, with limitations and boundaries that we put on things, and things that, oh, this will go wrong, the rest of the year's been not so good, oh, when's it going to end? It's
That's
a
it.
time to cut the cord and yeah,
Yep.
move forward with a
Absolutely. And
fresh slate.
yeah, reimagine, re-envisage, like, and I know it sounds all lovely in principle, like it's not something obviously we can just think differently, and it is differently, but at the end of the day, it's sometimes being the confronting the helplessness of any situation is the first step in empowering oneself to approach the way forward. So in many ways, Pisces, Pisces can be associated with the victim or the poor me, or the martyr, or like sort of, oh, I've got, this is the cross I've got to bear, or all those types of kind of images are associated with this type of energy. But like at the end of the day too, it comes down to what it is that we're going through. How are we orientated towards it? And like say the old saying, with the crucifixion, like Pisces, the idea of the martyr and the Christ and the rebirth and all the crucifixion comes under the Pisces mythology. And in many ways, when we surrender to the I guess to the abyss, or surrender to the death of the old form, and allow in that process of surrender and death to become in touch with the part of us that can create again, then we move ourselves out of just suffering it or enduring it, or having to kind of fulfill whatever it is, into a position where it's no longer dictating it to us, and we are now in the position where we can start actively moving towards it. So I guess in many ways there is this, and I suppose this is where we lead into Easter as well. The idea of the new moons heading into Easter is the death and the rebirth time of the year. But this is the dark night of the soul in that old sort of crucifixion ethos, where we are really going through our process of, in one way, dying to an old form of self, and enlivening ourselves to the potential of a new form of self. And it's not always easy going, but at the same time, it's consolidation and centralization of our power for the purposes of rebirth and reinitiation, which is the natural year. Everything in nature works under that system of governance, and this, to orientate ourselves better to the Pisces moon, it really is envisioning this walking into the 40 days and 40 nights, and to end in the dark night of the soul with the 3 last nights, and then to again enter the resurrection, I guess, as the sun once more gets born into Aries. So it is that story and myth that's playing out at this time of year, which is very interesting. I mean, if you want to vibe into that, but like that's the vibe, yeah. But it's very it's very powerful, very potent in its energy, if you allow yourself to I guess surrender to that
And
process.
sometimes it takes a little bit of courage to let go of the old identities and the old stories to release all that, to be able to move
Yeah.
forward with some clarity. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. And that's, I guess, that it inevitably involves, or sometimes involves, the death of an old form. And I mean, that's the hardest part. It's surrendering to the old life that was, or surrendering to the old way that was. And in that comes a lot of safety sometimes, comes a lot of comfort, comes a lot of, kind of convenience or ease or whatever. But if we know deep down that very thing that comforts us on one hand is also giving us a hard time, or taking from us, or holding us up, or even just has run its course, then it's got to go, and like it's got to be transformed, and I guess the energy that it contains redirected into something else. And I guess that's in many ways, that's that hard bit that we all face, is like, oh gosh, that's that challenge. I mean, oh, this is not going to be comfortable, this is not going to be easy, but it's the momentum is there. That's the momentum that's driving us. And in many ways, if we see the challenges that we confront during Pisces time, and meditate into them, there's this inertia behind us, sort of pushing us into, I feel in many ways, pushing us into these moments of dissolution on one hand, that where we have to confront on some level a form of surrender, in order to embrace what it is we would like to keep moving towards. And so, this is the wash through that comes over us, where we going, okay, yeah, I can confront this. I'm going to let that go now. Here's my choice. Here's my opportunity. It feels confronting. It doesn't feel comfortable. But if I console myself, it's actually the opportunity I need to move forward. And that's another way to mitigate the stress of February, March, I find. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a way to look at it. But yeah, that's interesting.
And
Yeah.
to use a parable of or analogy of almost like tearing your old house down and knowing that you're going to build a new house. and you can start building without, and you know roughly what you want, and you get the visions and the creativity, but
Yep.
the timings, and there might be things that don't go to plan but end up happening for you anyway, and
Yep.
yeah,
That's it.
letting go of each minute step and just yeah,
Absolutely. And I
walking the
mean,
path forward. Yeah.
totally. And we're going to get plenty of encouragement too, because like, the new moon's on the Friday, but then pretty much straight afterwards, Mercury and Venus in Aries are going to go retrograde. So we're going to have this sort of retrograde process of both our planet of communication and our planet of relationships. So, Mercury retrograde is always where things get a bit skew with for a while, and we go back over things and have a look at things. So 4 times a year we get one of them, but this time it's kicking off in Aries, on about the 15th of March. So that's coming up. But just before that too, we've got Venus going retrograde as well, and that's going to go retrograde on about the 3rd of March back through till about 13th of April. So our relationship function, or our materialization function, our values, our worth, the part of us that I guess brings things into being, is going retrograde too, which happens about every 18 months. So we get 4 Mercury retrogrades a year, but about every 18 months we get a Venus retrograde. And so, there's this period of overhaul coming in with this new moon as well. On one hand, we're going through the, typical Piscean type of process of reimagining, but with it, we get this Venus and Mercury, our thoughts and our relationships are going to come up for review and kicking off in the sign of self. And so, as we reimagine self, the existing planets, or the existing momentum of our self expression and our self value and our relationships and our connections around what validate us, they're up for review. So, our idea, or our identity, or who we see ourselves as, or what we feel that we are in the world, or the way that we are seen in the world, or the way we put ourselves across in the world, that's the area of our life that's really going to come under review. So, it's quite a just to be mindful. There's quite a process of reinvention at work in this Pisces moon that we're in. All very positive, because like Jupiter forms sextile, a positive action to the new moon itself. Well, it's in challenge, but Jupiter sextiles the Mercury, the Saturn that's in the new moon. So Jupiter well aspects it basically, and Uranus is also in there to bring in change and kind of stir things up a little bit to bring in a new system around things. So yeah, there's this. To me, if I look at the process of the moon, it's about some form of breaking down of old beliefs or old values or old ideas of things, to bring in a very potent new sense of vision, to kind of encourage a process of reimagining, to look at, I guess, sparking new structures, or new structures around new potentials or new ideas, whilst reviewing our relationships, or reviewing the way we communicate or conduct ourselves in the world, and at the same time an opportunity to kind of heal on some level our idea or our sense of self, or who we are or where we're going, and in many ways find the encouragement, or even be brought into the challenge, if you like, or brought into the choices that are required in order to assert what it is that we need, or what it is that we require in this world, or in what we're doing. So to me, it feels like very much a setup process, or a process of reinitialization around probably the bigger energies that are going to start taking place later in the year, where Neptune moves into Aries, and Uranus moves into Gemini, and Pluto's now in Aquarius. So we've got these huge transpersonal, sort of broader energetic shifts on consciousness taking place in the year ahead. But this moon really kind of, I think, kicks us into an orientation where we can somehow redefine how we sit in it all, and reimagine ourselves in it all, and just sort of, the word that keeps coming to me in all this, with Saturn, so, figuring so strongly in it too, especially with Uranus bringing in a new system, there's this new economy involved. There's this new, and I mean, however you want to use that word too, whether it's in the real economy or in our personal economy, but the word economy in my mind jumps out when I look at this constellation, and it sort of it's just a re-economy, like a formation of a new economy of things, whether it be our time, our energy, what we're investing in physically, emotionally, spiritually, what's bang for buck, what's not bang for buck, what's paying, what's not paying. Is this a good investment? Is that a good investment? It's just the nature of our old nature of economy is up for review, and I think that's on going to be seen on all levels. And this new moon sort of kicks it in, and there's brace yourselves. Like, I mean, there's big things about that are going to start to be working into manifestation. And I think processes like we're about to go into are very much going to be on the individual level, getting us ready and getting us more attuned to the right use of energy and the right use of relationship, and even the right use of communication and the right orientation to thought and all those types of things. So yeah, it's very exciting,
Yeah,
Billy.
it's no,
Yeah,
it's so positive, and it sounds
yeah,
like it's such a potentially a pivotal time right now, Martin. Like all the things you spoke about, it's like a setting up period
it is.
for some big things to come down the path, which we'll
Absolutely.
talk about in other
Yeah,
videos. But yeah,
yeah, we will. Yeah,
there's
but
some
I
big
mean,
stuff
the
coming up.
big stuff coming, big stuff coming. Like, I mean, I think even by, pretty much towards the next new moon, but like, Neptune's about to go into Aries on the 29th of March. And like that's huge. The first influx ingress into Aries since 1861, 62. So like that was the end of right at the end of the Transcendentalist movement back in, the birth of the whole sort of, I guess, New Age spiritual movement. Last time we had that ingress, the American Civil War kicked off in 1861, 62. So like, watch this space, who knows? But like, it's just this period of initiation. There's a big burst of energy coming forward on that sort of fundamental divine level. Like, people are going to receive this sort of quite quite significant motivating orientation, like through from a place that we don't often realize that's going on. Like there's another plane of activity starting to kick in. And for a long time now, since about 2010, I think, off the top of my head, it's been in Pisces. And so the world has been in a period of dissolution for quite a while. We've been sort of just floating, finding form and dissolving old forms and blurring boundaries of identity, letting go of old organizational structures, sort of finding new expressions. And it's really sort of this very dissolved kind of world, very formless and very boundaryless and very, kind of abstract in a way on that higher level. And when Neptune goes into Aries, like that's not the way it's going to be. It's very initiating. It's all go. It's quite pointed. It's Mars ruled. So on a higher level, Mars is very concerned around devotion to action or higher cause, or service, being brought into devoted service. So it's where things get a role or get a job or get a purpose. And so we're heading into a very much more of a purposeful time. And I guess, when you think of how do we transition out of that to that, it's going to bring in some interesting energetic challenges on one hand, but at the same time, some very interesting energetic paradigms for us to experience. And we can range from feeling completely don't know where we're going to actually starting to get some quite fixed and firm views and ideas around how it should look and where we fit in and what we're doing, and how, on whatever level we are participating, just the call to participate, I guess, is starting to come in with this. And there's a few precipitative moments as we head into the months ahead that are going to spark some interesting processes of change. So I guess, I could say, just on one level, having a fairly open, relaxed, flexible mindset at the moment, that's willing and open to kind of um, just create from the circumstances that are unfolding, is probably a requirement, I would say, Billy. Like, and in many ways too, with Uranus figuring so strongly on the physical level in Taurus at the moment, like it's about to go into Gemini and the nervous system's going to speed right up. But in many ways, having Uranus there, the real challenge at the moment is to be flexible, to allow for flow, to kind of be aware of that electrical nervous system energy that we have, and kind of regulate it and not be too sort of caught up or pent up, or just basically ground. And I guess with the Aquarius Leo axis opening up now with Pluto in Aquarius, it really does run through that, I guess, neurocardiac network in our physical body. And so that's where it's important to just breathe and be relaxed and, discharge and, kind of have fun and laugh and find the humor in things, and, just kind of don't take it all too seriously. Don't become too pent up or restrained or held back or kind of, too imminent, like it's sort of about letting the love in, so to speak. And yeah, that's a great means of not only finding inspiration but also finding ground and finding discharge as well. And it really is, I think, going to create a very valid space for love and individuality this new time that we're heading into. And and it's very creative. It's lovely. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And just quickly, we're coming into the eclipse season. Is that
Yes.
sort of got any overlaying effects or influences in addition to what you've already
Yeah,
shared with us?
14th of March, there's a full moon lunar eclipse, so total eclipse on 23 Virgo. So this moon also contains in it an eclipse. So wherever Virgo sits in your personal chart, that's the area that's going to cop a full moon lunar eclipse. So it's basically in Virgo, I guess. A lunar eclipse in Virgo is a breaking of old patterns. Lunar eclipses sort of break our instinctive patterns or get rid of old sort of habits and things like that, or bring up, our conditioning or those types of things. Brings it up for reboot. And in Virgo, so which is the opposite to Pisces. So again, breaking our old patterns, I think that make us too fastidious or too critical or too obsessed with the details, or too kind of fixated on the little minutiae, and kind of potentially possibly opening us up a little bit more to this Piscean potential of letting the flow take over again. And in many ways too, that when it's not about sort of losing, what is it, tune in, drop out, whatever, like it's not about sort of just not being focused, but sometimes we can be over focused at the cost of the meaning of things, like. And in many ways, this full moon that comes from this lovely new moon that we've got is about probably finding the joy in things, finding the divine in things. So like, it's not about just doing the jobs, it's why are we doing the jobs, why are we doing what we do. In many ways, like, this is something that I find my little beef in life a bit, is that the idea of service has got this connotation with it, where to be of service means that you're subservient or a servant, or people would potentially take for granted the idea of service. But that's on one level. But the real function of service is to find a way of connecting your skills and abilities and talents in a meaningful way to bring to the world, to in many ways contribute to the consciousness of our planet. And like, it doesn't have to be big or grand or anything like that, but if we get lost in the details of just the doing and lose touch with the why we're doing it and the purpose of it, then in many ways life does become a bit of a drudgery, and it seems meaningless, and it loses its spark. So sometimes the patterns that we fall into that keep us going around these little rat on the wheel type moments where it doesn't mean anything anymore because we're just doing stuff. It's that pattern itself that needs short circuiting sometimes, so that we can open up to why we're doing it. Why are we doing this? What's the meaning of it? Like, before enlightenment comes chopping wood, and after enlightenment we still got to chop wood, but at least we can see the God and the divine in the wood. And that's the purpose, I think, of this eclipse that's coming up, is to kind of in some way shake us loose of our attachment to the critical minutiae of life, so, and embrace that. It's really good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm super excited after everything that you've said today, Martin. I think,
Yeah.
given the right perspective and our, like you said, the why, our purpose, and if we let go of the past, we do all those critical things, then moving forward, there's some real exciting times ahead.
Yes.
Albeit there's some transformations and shifts coming in, but that's not a negative. That's a very positive thing, I feel. Yep.
So, no, you're right, Billy. And I will say, because actually I was talking to someone that watched one of our podcasts a while back, and they're like, oh, wow, it's so exciting. It was almost too exciting. But like the thing is, I will say, because in the face of things, I will acknowledge if you're listening and you're not feeling the vibe, don't worry. I don't think there's many days go by where I don't feel the vibe either. And like it's good to get excited about it in this context and in this space. But like realistically, overall, the energy is pretty heavy and it's pretty lost and it's pretty disruptive and it's pretty kind of kind of dismembered at the moment. Like Neptune's still in Pisces. Like to not know who you are and where you're going is pretty okay right now. Like it's to have a complete diffusion of energy out into the fabric of time and space and not really have anything come back or not realize what's going on, or even just find that even with the recent Mars retrograde that we've had and Jupiter being retrograde, nothing's really going on, nothing's really happening. But to tune into something a little bit finer than that, than the apparent, is just to realize on the bigger perspective of things, that's okay. Like that's totally fine. Like it's focus on what makes you tick, focus on what you love. Like if the world's this vacant, absent heap of, excuse the French, but just shit at the moment, that's okay. What lights your light? What lights your boat? What do you love? What do you love doing? Like what gets you going? What books do you like reading? Do you like painting? Do you like creating? Do you like laughing? Do you like having fun with people? Do you like, what do you enjoy doing? Because in that is the life, it's the vibe. And it's in that space and in that creative momentum that this excitement dwells. And I think sometimes, and probably this is the good thing about this Virgo new moon, if we can break our habitual attachment to how things should be and just for a moment look at how we'd like them to be or how we're willing to participate in them, that is all that's required to open up into a new dimension that we may not have even dared to imagine, and that's where the excitement is. That's where it is.
100%. I love it, and I think it's paramount that we do. And you mentioned the small joys in life, like it starts with the tiny ones, and we can build momentum, and then that elevates your energy and frequency, and then that just attracts more good things in. And as your eyes change and your mind changes and your heart changes, and at a higher level, it absolutely does bring it in. So it's not all. We're not trying to make out everything's all rosy coloured, and
that's right.
We've still got our day-to-day stuff. I think it's fair to say for everybody, but
absolutely.
Within that, you can still look at the small joys and just begin with that, and then just progress from there. Yep.
Let it roll. Let it roll. Yep,
excellent.
That's it.
All right, Martin. Well, thank you very much. I would. After listening today and all the chats we've had, I think this would be the ideal time for anyone to contact you and get a reading. I think right now, from everything you've said today and everything that's going to happen this year and probably into the next few years, I think it's paramount to have a better understanding of ourselves. And I found personally, just through just getting to know your astrological charts and your birth charts through Martin, that certainly gave me a lot of clarity all those years ago, and it's just something I would suggest, recommend, and encourage anyone to contact Martin for that.
Thanks, Billy. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I mean, what we try and do is just put it in context, to your life. Like, so there's, with astrology, it all takes place in different signs and planets and things like that. But on an individual level, that all takes place in the individual's life in different ways and specific ways. So sometimes the beautiful thing about astrology is just context and just putting what's happening in context and looking at how to better work with that and better rock and refine the economy of that energy. So thanks, Billy. Give us a shout. And we'd love to.
Absolutely, And I mean, I know we sort of get your links and everything else on each video, but I just think right now is just such a pivotal time, and such an advantage to have some clarity about where you're going and who you are. And if you're feeling a little bit lost, like Martin said before, the astrology side of things definitely helps gain a better understanding. Yep.
The focus. Thanks, Billy. Appreciate it.
Very good.
Do feel free to contact us, and we'd love to meet you for a chat session.
I'll put your link down below. So as always, Martin, it's been enthralling, so informative, and brilliant, mate, brilliant. I loved it. I loved every second.
Awesome. Always great to catch up. Look forward to chatting in Aries season. Yeah,
Yes,
enjoy
yeah, that's
the
exciting
eclipse.
times ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's good. Enjoy. Looking forward to a nice, yeah, blissed out month. I'm seeking inspiration this month. I'm seeking kind of broader knowledge, and very happy to let go of some old sort of patterns and embrace what's coming new. It's exciting. I mean, from my perspective, I think the world right now is on fire. Like it's this is a time that will be written in history. Like this is a time of history, and there's so many new things happening. There's so many new things that are going on, and I don't even know if the world even knows what to make of it yet. And this is the exciting part of it. So there's yeah, looking forward to it.
Well said. Well said. Thank you as always, Martin, and
Yep, thanks, Billy.
we'll talk to you again. Thanks,
Will
everyone.
do.